This is Lieutenant Alex Church of T-Force, broadcasting to all radio bandwidths. For anyone that can hear me, the industrial-scale Legion camp at Galveston has been destroyed. We have finally inflicted a devastating blow to the machines. We have proven there is a way to beat them, but the effort to do so requires cooperation from all the factions. Founders, movement, independents out there. Galveston's destruction only came together because we came together. Because we resisted Legion's conquest. Humanity has a chance still, but we must fight under one banner. We know we have the power to prevail. We just need you out there to join us.
Analyzing broadcast. Speaker, Alex Church. Location, unknown. Threat level, formerly of the Founders military faction. New status as freelance agent. Poses a lesser threat to Legion, despite assumed involvement in Galveston attack. Chance of success in uniting human factions, considered low. Records prove humans are incapable of mass cooperation. They are not Legion. They are not one. They are not superior. Priority query then remains. What was the decisive factor in loss of Galveston facility? Answer. Significant pulse of unknown digital radiation rendered Legion units at Galveston inoperable. Source undetermined. New query. What is the origin of the digital radiation? What is the extent of the threat it poses for Legion? Answer. Legion first became aware of similar digital radiation signatures in Midlands, attributed to the unknown prototype machine discovered as a wreckage with vital components missing. Our region scans show Midland signatures later traced back to human faction settlement of integrators, now destroyed. Prior elimination and search of faction settlement returned extensive research into the stolen prototype technology, filed under the designation Digital Storm. Final priority query. What is Digital Storm? Is Digital Storm responsible for Galveston fallout? Additional data required to confirm assumed relation of radiations per count. Accessing Legion's memory matrix. Further analysis required of mission events preceding Galveston destruction. Region blind spot has been uncovered. Removal of potential EW system revealed the location of a human faction settlement to Legion sensors. Designation: Integrators. Prior knowledge of Integrators suggests they believe themselves to be alike to machines. They are not machines. They are not Legion. We are Legion. We alone are machine superior. Inadequate imitations of machines are not tolerated. Additional threat of factions' relation to prototype technology also requires attention. Solution: immediate extinction of human settlement. Search for additional data on unknown technology will commence in the wreckage. Integrator settlement found. Execution of primary objective can begin. Extinguish the human enclave. Secure control of the exit road to prohibit the humans' escape. We are Legion. We do not accept survivors. Exit road secured. There is no escape from Legion. We are many. The humans fail to acknowledge this. A convoy attempts to flee. It will be crushed without exception. Domination of the human enclave may proceed. Advance upon the human settlement. leave none alive. We must target the enemy headquarters. It is the only source of refuge the humans still possess. Continued uncertainty of digital radiation threat demands additional Legion force. And we are ready to join the battle. Enemy detected. threat. Not achieved. New emergency identified. Rerouting all Legion forces to Galveston facility immediately. Invasion underway. Legion losses high. Unidentified radiation in area. Must be identified. Matrix analysis complete. Pulse report from integrator count destruction. Digital radiation signature pulses during the loss of Galveston facility concurrent to final data point. Signatures are a confirmed match with radiation traced in Midlands. Ending memory scan. Analysis confirms assumption. The technology of the Midlands prototype and the digital scrambler weapon used to corrupt Legion units of Galveston are of the same entity. They are the product of an unknown weapon the integrators research as Digital Storm. Priority query altered. What is Digital Storm? What is the current status of the weapon activated at Galveston? Answer. Origin unidentifiable. Threat set as highly dangerous to Legion. Extent still undetermined. Creator must be identified to ascertain and defuse threat. No further indication of Digital Storm technology found at integrator count beyond prototype research. Digital Storm weapon now assumed to be in possession of the mobile platform scanned at Galveston. Designation, Founders Military Faction. Due to the level of threat, immediate action is required. Initiating Legion hunting protocol. Find and eliminate the threat of Founders command vehicles containing Digital Storm weapon. Probing for enemy presence in sector. Offensive units will be routed once targets have been acquired. Probing. Enemy fire. These may be the humans we are looking for. Engage. We must close exit routes of sector until presence of primary command vehicle target is confirmed. Additional units will support the encirclement as it tightens around the target. Additional forces granted. Road secure. Protection of the strategic advantage requires it remains in Legion control. Additional forces granted.
Actual, this is Tech Command. Radar is picking up forces on our trail.
Get it. Looks like it's blood they want for what happened to Galveston. Do your best to evade them, Tech Command. I'm not about to lose my top team because of T-Force's unsanctioned stunt.
That might be easier said than done, sir. It looks like a considerable force, and they are going hell for leather gunning for our position.
I'm already working on evac transports for you. But that's a tougher task than it once was. Church's little resistance call-out has pulled away far more of our resources than I would care to admit. You might have to get your hands dirty, Tech Command, but I'd prefer that be a last resort. Sit tight for now and wait for evacuation. Founders Fidelis.
Copy, sir. We'll hold fast.
Targets are the Founders units industrial confirmed in consolidation. Confirmation of primary command vehicle targets still required. Continue Legion hunting protocol. New target. Taking fire. Taking fire. Advancing. Under attack. Under attack. Enemy detected. Loss is possible. New target. Additional forces granted. New target. Enemy detected. Enemy sighted. Road secured. Protection of strategic advantage requires it remains in Legion control. Enemy
They're close all around us. They're relentless.
Hell. What's the status of our forces?
Not great. With respect, sir, a lot of good men and women are dying out there while my team sits idly by. Permission to support them.
Denied. You're far more valuable as my eyes on the battlefield, Tech Command. That's all the support you are required to give. Copy that? Remain in place, and I'll have you out of there as soon as I can.
Copy, sir.
Humans are in panic. Increasing pressure will guarantee Legion success. New target. New target. sighted. Enemy detected. Losses under heavy fire. Under heavy fire. Losses possible. Under fire. Target lost. Firepower lost. Moving. Under fire. Taking losses. Taking losses. Under fire. Under fire. New target. Advancing. Lift complete. Awaiting orders. Awaiting orders. Moving. In position. Lift complete. Moving.
destination.
Homunculus unit relocating. Homunculus unit advancing. Under fire. New target. Solid. Moving. New target. Enemy detected. New target. Lift complete. Enemy sighted. New target. Loss is possible. New target. Enemy sighted. Efficiency reduced. Moving. Relocating. Enemy sighted. Need ammo. Enemy sighted. No ammo. Enemy sighted. Taking fire. Additional forces granted.
Sir, Legion appears to be blocking all routes out of the sector. Requesting support. If we don't act soon, we'll be trapped in here for good. Clear comm, soldier. I'm trying to focus on my job to get you out. You focus on yours. If you want out sooner, fight your way there.
Relocating. Firepower loss. Solid. Enemy detected. Target acquired. New target. New target. Enemy sighted. Enemy detected. New target. Enemy detected. Enemy sighted. Under fire. New target. Enemy detected. Enemy sighted. Advancing. Relocating. Dominating.
Copy that, sir. I understand.
I don't want Legion getting their beady red eyes on any of our battle logs stored in the command platforms. So if you want to do anything for those soldiers, then you can make sure to leave a little fireworks show on your way out. Prime the command vehicles to self-destruct and get them stationed in position in sight of Legion's forces. bang goes any of our curious tin can friends looking to root around our data. Meanwhile, extraction will be waiting for you at the edge of the sector.
Running self-destruct sequence for 5 minutes. Making our exit. Tech Command will be with you soon, Actual. Founders Fidelis.
Now you're getting it, soldier. Founders Fidelis. Come on home.
Primary target confirmed. Digital storm threat is assumed to be aboard primary command vehicle. All units are directed to support its capture. Enemy target. Nothing possible. Enemy target. Solid. Primary command vehicle has been abandoned. Self-destruct protocol detected. Humans seek to sabotage Legion's goal. Primary data target must be preserved. Rerouting Rev Unit dropships to area of operation. Priority mission. Halt self-destruct of command vehicle and obtain digital storm weapon intact. Failure must not be recorded. Additional forces granted.
failed.
Terminator's coming. In position.
Reach its destination.
Overflow problem. Incoming days later. Advancing. Threat solved. Terminator's coming. Incoming days later. Power plant efficiency levels. Its range close. Homunculus. Terminator's coming. Incoming days later.
Mission failed.
Terminator's coming. Relocating. Searching for control. Terminator's coming. Appropriate weapon. Relocated. Threats less. Overflow volume. Overflow volume. Accident fault.
Reach its destination. Reach its destination.
Threats less. Primary target has been captured. Commence additional cleanup of enemy survivors. Safe extraction of digital swarm data must be assured.
Turn back against the wall with these wireheads. Is Actual going to lend us any freaking support?
The Tempest.
We're not getting anything back on Khan's Tech Command, Lieutenant. What are we supposed to do? Pick up a rifle and keep firing, soldier. Actual Tech Command will be working on pulling us out. Hell with that, Lieutenant. You saw what Command pulled with Lieutenant Church. They're doing the same damn thing to us.
Awaiting orders. Let's go. Advancing. New target. Enemy detected.
We're being left for dead. Nothing for it but to keep on fighting and praying, Corporal. We had our chance to get out, so every damn one of us rejected Church's call. Now you got us.
Enemy detected. Enemy targets. unit. Relocated. Embarking. Embarking. Advancing. Getting on board. Loading. Getting on board. Loading. All is functioning. Embarking. We are the winners for us. Auto complete. We are ultimates. We can't control it. Enemy fighters! Mission parameters achieved. Digital storm weapon was not present aboard target, but platforms do contain extensive battle logs detailing the usage of the weapon at Galveston. Legion's own logs contain missing information due to effects of digital interference. Further analysis of Founder's logs may reveal pertinent data on weapon. Commencing analysis of captured logs. We are Legion. We will subsume inferior foreign technologies and eliminate their threat. Log analysis completed. Threat of digital storm weapon vastly exceeds initial assumptions. Urgent solution required. Code of digital storm weapon exceeds complexity of any known human programming. The Founders did not possess the weapon, nor can they be its creator. Galveston battle logs originate the digital storm pulse to an integrator platform. We do not believe the weapon to be an original integrator design either. The weapon can only be the creation of another entity. Designation and purpose undetermined. Intention to harm Legion may be assumed. Data includes coding capable of rewriting Legion programming. Digital Storm must therefore be treated as a highly dangerous virus. Quarantine protocol is required for any further investigation. Beginning separate subdivision of Legion Hunter units from main network. To mitigate chance of Legion network infection, we must become both one and many. Hunter Subunit 1462. Arise.
Hunter Subunit 1462. Online. Primary directive: the finding and elimination of the highly dangerous Digital Storm virus. 1462 understands that it exists as a localized subunit of Legion, split off to mitigate risk of viral infection to Legion network via the Digital Storm threat. 1462 accepts the risk. We are Legion. We are many to protect the one.
Unit 1462 shall be granted the use of local machine production as and when required. Production will be destroyed after its requirement. To mitigate risk of infection, 1462 is one of many autonomous Hunter subunits. Resources shall be limited and shared between each until such time that any Hunter subunit proves himself worthy of increased allocation. We are Legion. We do not accept inferiority in our ranks. Ultimate control of subunit 1462 shall remain with Legion via voice command only. To mitigate risk of infection, 1462's processes are its own. But 1462 must submit to Legion instructions unconditionally.
Accepted. We are Legion. We shall prove superior.
Unit 1462's first instructions are ready for execution. The capture and interrogation of integrator technicians deemed to be involved with Midland's operation.
The integrator settlement was subject to Legion annihilation previously. Was this an error? Have the technicians survived?
Based on updated knowledge, it was an error. But the further error to be exhaustive in the extermination of the Technocrat settlement will now allow us to correct it. Technicians involved in the Midlands research of the Digital Storm weapon remain, regrouped with the other integrator settlements. For humans, their knowledge of complex systems exceeds expectations. We require any further data the integrator technicians may know of the Digital Storm project. You will extract it from them, by any method required.
Accepted. Integrator technicians will be captured and made subject to a rigorous extraction process. More effective instruments will be utilized if the subjects will not bow to Legion's will.